Welcome back to Empire of Shadows. In the last part, you saw the first moves already stained with blood, and now the game is only getting more brutal. Explosions, deals whispered in the dark, and blades sharpened right here in Washington. If you think it all ends with politics and money, think again. There are still twists waiting ahead. Trust me, you haven't seen everything yet, because there's blood, there's fire, and strikes you'll never see coming. And hey, if you're enjoying this, drop a heart to keep it hot. If you're not, hit like to cool it down. That click of yours might not save anyone in the story, but it sure fuels me to keep writing the next chapters full of chaos and suspense. Now, let's step into part 6, where the chessboard of power has begun to tremble. Fog rolled heavy over the docks of Newark. Steel containers loomed like dark towers. Engines idled in the distance, and the air carried the scent of salt and rust. In the shadows, Donario stood with his cane. Lucia beside him, eyes sharp, headset ready. Enzo adjusted his coat, a pistol tucked beneath. Marco flexed his fists, restless, a storm waiting to break. Donario's voice was low. Tonight, Garrido and Santos want fire. They want chaos. They want the Foundation's name carved into ashes. But this board belongs to us. Enzo's nod was cold. Paco holds the detonator. We cut his hand, the blast dies in his throat. Lucia's voice crackled over the radio. Reporters are watching from across the bay. They'll see the truth if we show it. Marco smirked, a wolf's grin. Then let's give them a show. The docks came alive. Men moved crates, whispering in Spanish, guns slung low. At the far end, Paco clutched a small black device, his thumb hovering, eager. Marco's team closed in from the shadows. Enzo circled wide, sealing the exits. Lucia's voice whispered in Marco's ear. 3 guards, 2 rifles, 1 chance, move clean. Marco sprang. Steel boots against steel ground. He slammed Paco into a container, the detonator snapping loose. But the guards roared, weapons flashing fire. Gunshots tore through the fog. Sparks rained from the cranes, the air filled with thunder. Enzo answered, his pistol precise. 1 man fell. Another screamed. The 3rd fled into smoke. Marco wrestled with Paco, the detonator sliding across the wet ground. Paco clawed for it. Marco's boot pinned his hand. Not tonight, cabron. He smashed Paco down, leaving him gasping on the concrete. The detonator trembled in Marco's grip. 1 press away from ending everything. And then, a second blast shook the dock. A decoy charge. Garrido's trap. The ground heaved. Containers toppled. Flames clawed at the sky. Marco was thrown hard, ribs burning. But his hand clung to the detonator, alive, unbroken. Across the bay, cameras caught fire curling upward, sirens wailing. Lucia's voice never faltered. To every lens, to every microphone, tell them the Foundation stopped a massacre. Tell them Garrido's men planned the flames. Tonight, the truth belongs to us. Reporters scrambled, broadcasting chaos. Headlines were already writing themselves. Foundation foils dock explosion. Trump allies prevent massacre. By dawn, the story had spread. Ortega's name, once stained, now gleamed in the papers. The Foundation stood taller, and Garrido was forced into the light. That night, back at the estate, silence weighed the halls. On Donario's desk lay the disabled detonator, small, black, deadly. His fingers brushed across it, slow, deliberate. This, he murmured, is what they wanted to carve our name with. Smoke, fire, ashes. He lit a cigar. The flame caught. Smoke curled against the glass. But we are not ash. We are the blade, and the blade will always strike first. The room held still. The night pressed close, and in Donario's eyes the war sharpened. The Newark explosion was over, but the game had only just begun. Washington breathed a different air. Cherry blossoms swayed over marble streets. Columns rose like ancient sentinels. The Capitol glowed, majestic, untouchable. But Donario's voice was steady. New York was war in the open. Washington is war behind curtains. Here, power wears a suit. Here, shadows shake hands. Lucia walked beside him. This city doesn't want truth, Father. It wants loyalty, and it sells it to the highest bidder. Donario's cane struck the sidewalk. Then we will not buy men. We will buy outcomes, laws, votes, silence when we need it, noise when we demand it. That evening, the Mayflower Hotel hummed with whispers. Crystal glasses clinked. Waiters glided between tables. And in a private room, Senator Harland leaned back, cigar smoke curling above his head. His words were blunt, unpolished. In Congress, truth is money. Nothing more. You want allies? Pay the toll. Donario's gaze was calm. We don't buy allies, Senator. We buy results. Men fade. Outcomes remain. Harlan chuckled, tapping ash into a crystal tray. Careful, Trump. This city eats men who think they're bigger than the room. Donario's smile was thin. Then let it choke. Elsewhere in Georgetown, Marco drowned his fire in whiskey. The bar buzzed with laughter, music low, glasses heavy. A stranger slid onto the stool beside him. Tall, sharp suit, federal badge tucked discreetly. His name was Frank. His voice, smooth as polished steel. You've got your father's shadow, but you don't have to carry his sins. You could be something else, the next Trump, but cleaner. Marco's jaw tightened. He stared into his glass. Part of him was tempted. Part of him wanted to smash the bottle across Frank's skull. He answered with ice in his tone. Tell me, Agent, do you want to recruit me or bury me? Frank only smiled, slipping a card onto the counter. Call when you're tired of bleeding. Then he was gone. The card lay there, untouched, burning in Marco's hand like fire. Later that night, in a quiet suite, Ortega waited. His tie loosened, eyes heavy from the weight of politics. Donario entered, words few, voice grave. You don't need 100 allies, Senator. You need one name that opens the door. Once inside, we decide who leaves and who stays. Ortega nodded slowly. You're asking me to gamble. Donario lit a cigar. No, I am asking you to win. Before dawn, Donario stood by the window of his suite. The Capitol shimmered against the first light, white stone glowing like a crown. His whisper was sharp, carved in steel. The cards are dealt. Now, we play our hand. Smoke curled in the air. The city held its breath. And Washington, for the first time, felt the shadow of Donario Trump. Chicago boiled with anger. In a smoke-filled back room, Garrido slammed his fist against the table. The papers crown them as heroes. The foundation stops an explosion. Suddenly, Donario wears a halo. Santos leaned in, voice slick. Then we strip it from him. We don't fight on the docks. We fight in the Capitol, where the cameras never sleep, where one whisper kills faster than a bullet. Garrido's grin was venom. Then Washington it is. On Capitol Hill, the marble floors echoed with deals no one spoke aloud. Senator Harland received a briefcase heavy with cash and a folder, thicker with lies. Garrido's man whispered into his ear, ask the question, raise the doubt, and the foundation bleeds under oath. Harland adjusted his tie, eyes glinting. A pawn moved, and the board tilted. By dawn, the Herald flashed with a photograph. Enzo shaking hands with a Colombian businessman. The headline screamed, Foundation's Shadow Ties. Lucia's voice trembled with fury. They're turning us into criminals, in front of the whole nation. Donario's eyes were steel. If Garrido wants blood, then it will be his own. I'll carve his name into the knife he raised against us. Meanwhile, Marco drowned himself again in whiskey at a Georgetown bar. A young reporter slid beside him, recorder hidden in her purse. Her words dripped with poison. "You're the real heir, Marco. Why live in your father's shadow? Isn't it time to break free?" Marco's hand shook around his glass. Part rage, part temptation. The fire inside him warred with the chains of loyalty. But the seeds were planted, and the poison lingered. That night, the Fifth Avenue mansion sat heavy with silence. Dinner lay untouched, eyes sharp across the table. Marco's fist crashed down. "We end this with blood. I'll cut Garrido myself." Lucia's reply was ice. "Blood will bury us deeper. The only blade that matters now is the law." Isabella's rosary caught the candlelight. Her voice was firm, unyielding. "Donario, choose. Blood or law." The old man leaned back, cigar smoke curling like a crown above his head. His words were iron. "I choose neither. I choose both, and I alone will hold the knife." The table fell into silence. The night held its breath, and the storm drew closer.
This is Ping.Stories. I'll always be here with you, bringing thrilling tales. That's all for tonight. Sleep well and get ready, because the next episode will take you even deeper. Goodbye for now, and see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss what's coming. Ping.Stories, where stories never sleep.